Okay, so part two, I got interrupted during that last part of part one with the chemo wafer glioblastoma situation. And so I'm just going to go ahead and just continue. So if you're following me, this is the chemo wafer situation with my mom when I received this unexpected phone call from her surgeon, which I thought was just going to be a normal MRI, and the MRIs were coming back that in a 3-week time period, there was very strong aggressive growth with the brain tumor, and there was an emergency surgery called. And so I was in the presence of 3 other women that I had mentioned earlier, and all 3 of these ladies, they had all lost their mothers within like a year and a half's time. And so, and I knew that. I mean, that's why we all were going out to lunch, was because it was so cool, because God was bringing women in my life that had lost their moms. And you know, when they say, oh, this is a club you don't want to belong to, and I really get that now. It's like, you're right, you know, but God was so good because he brought these women in my life. And I'd known Renee for quite some time through school, and then she had a business relationship with Allie, and Allie was friends with Fatima. So it was very interesting how it just kind of fell all together, and it was an instant connection, all of us. And so here I was, I received this phone call, and I had to make the decision on the spot. Yes, go ahead and put the chemo wafers in mom's brain, because that's what she would want. And so where I left off was what that really is like. It's horrific. I'm just gonna say, I think I said earlier, you know, it's hard. No, it's horrific. You know, there's so many options available to us to say, how can I prolong life, or how can I make this, you know, work? And mom didn't second guess me, you know, when she woke up and everything, and we told her what had happened. We knew, like, we're at this point, and I didn't want to be at this point. Neither did she. Like I said earlier, you know, she had a couple craniotomies up at this point, and we were like, okay, they were doing some, what do they call that phrase? Forgot, like tractions or whatever. Anyway, the point is, I was like, okay, we're good, because her scans were coming back normal, and then all of a sudden, wham, you know, middle of summertime, 2018, not at all. And so that was scary, and I thought, this is what he's talking about. Like, it's aggressive. So anyway, point is that I was so blessed and so thankful that I had these women right there with me, and we got a chance to talk, and I actually had time to digest everything, and I was not alone. Like, God knew that I needed these other women, and they weren't full of smoke. They weren't going, oh, it's going to be okay, and blah, 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 and, you know, fake talking. I don't have time for fake talking. This is real life. Don't try to make me feel better. Just be strong. And just be strong. And in that strength that's real, then that gives you, okay, I can go forward. I can sign out, get in car line, get my daughter, or go pick up more. I couldn't pick up mom because she was in the hospital. She had to be reinstated back in the hospital again. But my point is God was so good, because I had real women, had real experiences, and they were solid, and it gave me comfort. It was comforting. And honestly, if anybody who knows me knows that, you know, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I tell it like it is, but I'm also very independent, and I don't like to be needy. I don't want to need for anything, and I don't like asking for anything. I like to be very on my own, and and that's an issue that I've had to deal with. I realize that God has put so many amazing people in my life right when I needed them. Right when I needed that. What are the chances, the coincidence or lucky, first of all, I don't believe in luck, is that I was with these women that gave me that comfort and that strength. And when I left that restaurant, I was like, this is not what I expected, but I had this comfort knowing that I had other people around me that had their losses. And it didn't mean that mom was going to die that day. It didn't mean, it was inevitable. It was inevitable. And it was sooner, rather than later. But I had that comfort, and what I wanted to bring to the table on this journal entry is a special luncheon with these 3 women. And, I feel so honored and so blessed that I had them right there with me, and we all still keep in touch, which is really cool. And they recount, exactly that moment when I received that phone call. So, moving forward, I'll just say, God has his kisses from heaven all the time. What happened after that was she was in and out of every craniotomy that she had when they went in for like a new reconstruction thing. She had to go back into the rehab center so that she could regroup. But chemo wafers are different. So after a couple craniotomies, radiation, chemo, she was not thinking clearly at all. And she started, picking at her head and the incisions. And we had to have 24-hour care for her at the hospital and 24-hour care at the rehab center. And it's like a switch. It's like a switch that goes off. It's just, you almost wonder sometimes why you did it all. But I know why now, and I'll get to that later. But in the moment, it's so hard. It's so difficult. And you just have to be gracious with yourself. And you have to be gracious with your loved one who's going through cancer. I can only speak to brain cancer intimately. So, it's such a, like my mother had the most beautiful penmanship, and she could crochet like anyone's business. I mean, hats, and I think I talked about this before, and she ended up losing all of that. Couldn't write. I mean, her writing was scribble scrabble, and she would crochet, and I'd bring her yarn, and she thought she was crocheting, and she was crocheting, but none of it was like, it was all cockeyed and wobbly, and none of her squares looked square, and her hats were all cattywampus, but it didn't matter. It just didn't matter because she was doing her thing. It was hard. When you see, especially like your mom, like just completely breaking down. Little by little by little. And it's really difficult. I'll say some funny things. So my mom was only 68, but she was product of the 60s, and my mom didn't wear a lot of makeup, but she did wear fake eyelashes. And my mom, when she would, it was so funny. She always wanted to have her eyelashes. And one time I found her in the hospital, well, multiple times in the hospital, and then in the rehab, and then later at her independent living center. But as time progressed, I would find her, I don't even know how she did this, but instead of her eyelashes being like this, they were like backwards. I'm like, oh my God. How did that even happen, But by golly, she had her eyelashes on, and her earrings sometimes would be backwards. Like I would find the prong of her earring here, and the earring would be like the hoop is backwards. And you just have to laugh. You just go, Mom, it's oh, hey, Mom, love you. And they don't look like themselves. They know that, but what do you do? So anyway, I don't want to jump too much forward. I just wanted to share, God was so good because I needed that encouragement and that support at that time. And after that chemo wafer surgery, she did have one more craniotomy, and that happened in the month of October of 2018. And that was when Peter told us there will be no more surgeries. At this point, it's just going to be downhill. I mean, it's downhill now. It's going to continue to go downhill. There's no reason to keep cutting her open and doing chemo wafers or doing anything. And I knew that. And so Christmas of 2018 was my ticker. If we can just get Mom to Christmas, we could just get her to Christmas. And just like he had said from the very beginning, my goal is to have your mother see Christmas, next Christmas. So we went from 2017, now we're in Christmas, we're approaching fall, we're in fall of 2018. We've done all the craniotomies we're going to do, 2 different times with chemo wafers. I only shared the one time because that was very important with the relationship with the lunch with the ladies, the girls that were there with me. And Mom's in a wheelchair, full time now. And I have 2 children. I have Mom and I have my daughter. And there's still this very delicate balance. There's this very delicate balance of giving your parent, who is still your parent, but you're the one who's in charge. You're the one who's orchestrating everything. You're lining up the caregiving. You're lining up the medications that are being, you have to write everything out, all the syringes, all of this, all of that, and repeating yourself constantly because they are so forgetful. And that's just the reality of it. And so I don't want to be a downer or anything. I'm just telling you kind of like it is. And but I'm grateful for the incident that I needed that time. And I will tell you something. Sorry. I wouldn't trade a moment. As hard as it was, I'm honored that, I'm so sorry, but I'm honored that I got to be there for my mom, that I got to care for her and love her through every single thing, as hard as it was. All the hospital visits, back and forth to the rehabs. And the rehab, not because of drug stuff, but because every time they have craniotomies and they go through the hospital and they recover, then they have to go into a rehab. So it's just so much process. But I count it an honor that I got to be here for her and be strong for her and cry with her and love her every step of the way. And so I know that if you're walking through that situation with someone, you just please be gentle with yourself and be gentle with your loved one, because it goes by fast. It goes by fast. And I'm grateful because God is so good still through it all, and I have my mom's peace with me and God's peace with me, and comforted in so many ways. And I'm gonna elaborate on that in future stories, but I guess it's just really important to say that I count it an honor And I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't trade anything for it in the world, as hard as it was. So I just, I can't wait to share the last week of my mom's life because it's really cool. And I'm not there yet, getting close. But so as always, please know God is for you. He fights for us. He is behind you, he walks before you, and he stands beside you. And may his love and grace and peace abound in your life. And if you don't know that, I pray and I'm asking, just know he is real. And there's nothing like the supernatural relationship that you can have with him. So God bless, and thank you for putting up with me and my tears. And I will be journaling soon. Thank you. Good night. God bless.